I'm Linda from Sewing Bee Fabrics. I'll show you how I organise all my different sewing things to make it quicker and easier to sew while still keeping it minimum effort to keep it tidy. And hopefully it'll inspire you to make the most out of your area too. Before organising anything, I think it's really important to declutter. When you declutter your space, it not only creates more room for you to work and makes it easier to find what you need, it also leaves you surrounded only with the things that inspire you. And that makes sewing feel more fun too. When I declutter first, I often find I actually don't need more storage space, but sometimes the right kind of storage can make a big difference to keeping things looking nice, making things easier to find, and using them. So if you haven't run off to sew with the prettiest fabric you found while you were decluttering, then let me show you how I like to organise things. I like to recycle jars for a lot of haberdashery bits, with each jar being something different inside, like invisible zippers or ribbon scraps. Or I use spice jars for littler things like buttons. Then it's easy to grab what I need, and it makes all the pretty things feel like browsing in a sweet shop rather than trying to hunt around inside a haberdashery explosion. Tubs with dividers, like old mixed fruit punnets, are great for using as drawer inserts to keep things tidy too, like I've done here with my cam snaps. By arranging similar colours together, it's even quicker to find what I need. Round tubs are also great for keeping rolls of things in, like elastic too. I can't be doing with having to untangle threads and hunting for matching bobbins, so I used some wood scraps and dowels to make a wall organiser for my threads, and it's been an absolute game changer for me. I keep embroidery threads in the top half and sewing threads with their bobbins at the bottom. Plus, by decorating it with some felt flowers, it also makes the sewing area feel more fun to be in. There's an old photo tutorial I made for how I made the thread organiser, so I'll put the link for that in the description. I like to hang the bigger sewing machine feet up on my thread rack too, so they're easy to see and grab as I need them. This also keeps them out of the way of all the small feet, which I keep in a little set of drawers next to my sewing machine. Without the big ones in there, I can rummage through more easily to find what I need. If you have feet that you can't always remember what they're for, I recommend keeping them in pretty candy bags with a note on it to remind you what they are. So that's why we post all of our sewing machine feet out like that, to help you guys out. If you do come across random sewing machine feet lying around that you haven't used for ages, and now you aren't entirely sure what they're for, we do have a sewing machine foot guide to help you identify what they might be, so I'll pop a link for that in the description too. In the other drawers, I have different sewing machine needles in here, and some less often used bits in the bottom too, like my bias making tools. I've got a rail here just under my thread rack with organisers hung off of it. I've got fabric scissors and turning tools in this one, hemming clips and bits in the other one, and fabric markers and rotary cutters in this other one. And then they're easily on hand and nicely out the way. Hanging below those, on an over-the-door set of hooks hooked onto the rail, because I like to use every inch behind my sewing machines, are my embroidery machine hoops. Again, easy to grab but out of the way, and they're only taking up dead space I wouldn't otherwise be using. For the smaller tools like little snips, screwdrivers and bits, I've got a cute little mug for them to go in. I don't really have much in the way of bought sewing patterns, but I'll often keep the patterns I draft myself if I think I'll use them again. I like to use a folder with plastic pockets and a little note on each about what it was. I mainly use clips rather than pins, so I like to use a pretty wide top tin for those, and then they're quick and easy to grab and I can move the tin around with me as I go. I like to divide my fabrics into fabric types or uses. The ones I use most often live near the sewing machine, and the ones I don't use often get boxed up elsewhere. If you have a lot of a particular type of fabric, it can be helpful to sort them into a pile of small pieces and another with longer pieces. That way it's easier to find the larger pieces when you have a bigger project in mind. I tend to keep my little scraps in a cute fabric basket, so I've always got cute little pieces on hand when I want them. If you often combine fabric like you would for quilting in your sewing projects, sorting by colour or pattern themes can make it easier to find things that mix and match well together. I like to store mine up right in the box with dividers where I need them so I can see everything at a quick glance. This works really well for me as long as I'm careful not to overstuff the boxes or things tend to get pushed to the bottom and crushed. For more delicate fabrics I prefer shelves. If you stack too much fabric, then the bottom pieces can get squashed and fabric can topple when you start pulling things out. So using lots of little shelves works especially well for anything that can be damaged with heavy creases like velvet or silk. So here I've divided up a storage cube. I made it so that I can slide my shelves in and out, then I can store plenty and reach everything quickly. For things I don't want creasing at all, like leather, vinyl, stiff interfacing, I keep them all rolled up and I've got a little corner gap right between my shelves over here, and they can be banished out of sight, but still nice and easy to grab for when I want them. For any fabric not easily in reach, it can be helpful to keep a note of what fabric you have squirreled away. maybe in a notebook or note-taking app, or actually stuck to the fabric box. As well as the type of fabric and how much is left, it can be helpful to write down where you bought it if you think you might want more, as well as any notes that might help you next time you use the fabric. Things like sheds fluff everywhere, keep the vacuum handy, or frays lots, use pinking shears to cut it out, or sticky fabric, sew this one with a Teflon or a walking foot. That way you already know if you have enough fabric to sew without buying any, and you don't have any problem solving that you need to do with your tricky fabrics all over again, so your project will be faster to make, and that makes it feel more fun too. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how I keep my sewing bits to make it quicker, easier and more fun to sew. And I hope it'll inspire you to make your sewing space work better for you too. And don't forget to give us a like and a follow if you enjoyed the video. See you again soon. Bye now.